Drugs and Addiction, an Anarchist Perspective, Dickie Dredd, and this is part 1. Acknowledgements. For proofreading and producing an introduction to the book, the fantastic Mark Slay, and check out his books for a hilarious take on the rave scene. For the stunning line drawings and cover art, Nigel Adams. For inspiration, feedback and engaging debates, and this is in no particular order, Erica Rose, my partner, Mandy and Christy, my beautiful sisters, Nigel Adams, Paddy, Justin Whittaker, Stu Shotness, Corky, Alana, The Wandering Eye, Zoe, Ratty, John Cunningham, Claire, Sarah, and many other folk that have heard me harking on about these issues in pubs, festivals and sites elsewhere. Oh, and artificial intelligence comes out with some utter bollocks on these subjects most of the time, but not bad for some proofreading, some fact-checking and supplying some other references. And there you can see a picture of me and Mark Slay outside our local pub here in Llanbrynmire. We met a couple of months ago, and next to that is a picture of Nigel Adams with one of his latest puppets. Dedication. This book is dedicated to the man who taught me how to let the boredom in, Stuart Shotness, Stu. And here is a poem by Stu. Embrace boredom. Let the hours stew. Take time to reflect, for in there you find you. You tell me boredom is a heinous crime, a theft of purpose, a waste of time. But boredom is heaven sent, a gift in disguise to make you feel the passing of time. Embrace boredom, a moment to pause, to weigh the options that life lays before us. Give it respect, let the silence speak. It teaches the strong and steadies the weak. Embrace boredom, the most positive space, where the past is released with quiet grace, and the future is set in a straighter line, forged in the stillness of unhurried time. And there's a picture of Stuart outside his what he calls his lodge, his gypsy lodge, which he's building at the moment. It's not where he lives. It'll be his social setting. And there's a picture of Stu on his guitar because he's a wonderful folk guitarist. Introduction to the author. Always a bit strange doing this when you're reading something about yourself, but it's got to be done. Dickie Dredd has never written from the outside looking in. His work comes from mud, fire, fear, freedom, and the long, messy process of stitching a self back together after years of being told to stay small. Long before he wrote about addiction or anarchism, he lived inside the institutions he now critiques, not as an inmate or patient, but as a child growing up in a domestic asylum where silence was treatment, unpredictability was routine, and love was conditional on mood. His book, One Flew into the Cuckoo's Nest, told the story, the family life and quiet catastrophes that taught him how authority disguises itself as care. Drugs and Addiction continues the same investigation, but with the tools he lacked as a child: science, philosophy, humour, and a stubborn refusal to accept the official script. Under his respectable name, Professor Richard Leach, he built a career in physics and measurement science. The irony is not lost on him. For decades, he calibrated lasers, artifacts and coordinate systems with exquisite precision, while privately wrestling with emotions that refused to behave, memories that misfired, and addictions that were less about intoxication and more about anaesthesia. He jokes that his real laboratory was the nervous system he spent half a lifetime trying to outrun. Only when he stopped treating himself like a malfunctioning machine did the measurements start to make sense. Away from academia, he became Dickie Dredd, DJ, festival tinkerer, anarchist meddler, stew maker, tarp holder, unofficial welfare crew, and the bloke who will fix your solar panels while explaining food cult between spliffs. The free party fields and protest sites were not an escape from life, but a rehearsal for the kind of world his books argue for: mutual aid, autonomy, shared responsibility, in the kind of humour that keeps people alive when the weather or the police turn nasty. Many of the ideas in this book were refined not in libraries but around fires, in buses held together by hope and gaffer tape, and in festival kitchens where 10 people tried to stir the same pot once. His recovery, personal, political, chemical, and emotional, did not arrive on command. It came in the slow realisation that addiction is less about substances and more about stories. The stories we inherit, the ones we invent to survive, the ones institutions enforce to keep us compliant. Healing happened when he stopped hiding the wound and started paying attention to it. The same insight runs through this book. The war on drugs is a war on feeling. Prohibition is trauma written into law. Recovery is not obedience, but integration. His own journey from childhood hypervigilance to academic respectability to collapse and reconstruction is woven through the chapters because the politics and the psychology cannot be separated. Dickey's writing blends theory with loved chaos, physics with philosophy, trauma with gallows humour, and anarchism with the tenderness he once mistook for weakness. He is still accused of being too kind for an anarchist, which he accepts cheerfully. Kindness, after all, is the one revolutionary act the state still cannot legislate or monetize. His aim is simple, to show that another way of living is not utopian fantasy, but daily practice, messy, joyful, communal, and available now. If there is a consistent thread through his life's work, it is this. Freedom is not the absence of structure, but the refusal to let others build them for you. Whether through music, fieldwork, teaching, therapy, or political writing, Dickie Dredd has spent his lifetime learning, and now teaching, that care without control is not only possible, but necessary. And if the revolution happens to involve a good stew, a decent sound system, and someone tripping over a guy rope, all the better. And that's a picture of me at Machynlleth market last year. Okay, last part in this first edition. Introduction by Mark Slay. Every day, millions of people break our existing drug laws, opting to risk the trauma, stigmatisation and upheaval of incarceration in order to achieve an altered state of consciousness. I suspect that many lawmakers privately agree with that those laws, the ones they support in public, achieve little in terms of harm reduction. It's hardly a secret that alcohol and tobacco are far more deadly and socially disruptive than many prescribed drugs, nor that the current treatment of addicts and addiction leaves much to be desired. How have we arrived at a place where common sense plays a secondary role to knee-jerk reaction and tabloid hysteria? How can we get ourselves out of this mess? How can we draw on the lessons of history to find modern-day solutions to the problems we face? Problems caused or exacerbated by draconian legislature, societal pressure, physical addiction, mental health issues, the lobbying of corporate interests, hypocrisy, miseducation and fear. How, in short, can we break the habit? Psychologist and author Timothy Leary often spoke about how set, the mental state a person brings to the experience, and setting, the physical and social environment, can contribute the effects of psychoactive substances. We can see the importance of both factors on a societal scale as these pages guide us through a mind-expanding trip into the controversial topic of drugs and addiction. Anyone familiar with Dickey's other books will have an inkling of what to expect. Thorough research that draws on the work and wisdom of experts in the field, a writing style that blends crystalline clarity with an elegant turn of phrase, an anarchist viewpoint that favours hope and logic over tradition and entrenched opinion, a personal perspective that adds profundity and colour to a topic that is all too frequently monochrome and surface deep, and of course a welcome dash of humour. Too many of us have suffered too much for too long as a result of the way that society deals with drugs and addiction. Is it time for a reset? In the last words of Timothy Leary, repeatedly whispered on his deathbed, why not? Okay, I have to say this, unfortunately, so it's a YouTube channel, and it really does help if we like, subscribe and comment on the channel, as well as the Facebook page, because it then gets the algorithms to post this out to more people, and we get the messages out there. And the next part will be the preface.